Hi everyone, this is Alan Rosinski of Metro Manhattan Office Space. Good evening. Normally, the UN General Assembly would have met in New York this week. You would also had Fashion Week. Normally, the city would have been jam-packed with traffic jams. Normally I would find this really annoying, makes it very difficult to get around. Every year you got some demonstration or the other, and Manhattan's just a mess. And I would have never thought I'd be nostalgic for this particular week, even though September's really nice in New York. I never thought I'd be nostalgic for all the traffic, all the hustle and bustle, but I am. I wish it was like that this year. In any case, it reminds me that the diplomatic community is a major group of tenants in New York City. The embassies, the consulates, the non-governmental organizations, they lease an enormous amount of space in New York City. And many of them, in fact, own their commercial spaces. They tend to buy space in certain commercial condominiums located near the UN, and when they lease space, there's certain buildings that cater to them, and those buildings tend to be east of 3rd Avenue, north of 42nd Street, and south of 48th Street. Certain buildings which I would think of, the major one is One Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza, which is an 814,000 square foot building. It's 49 stories tall. The floor plates tend to be about 16,000 square feet. England is located there, the United Kingdom mission to the UN, the United Nations mission of Spain, the United Mission of Belgium is in that building. You have a whole pocket of buildings in that area which cater to the diplomatic community. Just south of One Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza is Two Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza. On the opposite side of the street, it's a smaller building. It's 90,000 square feet. You have countries like Bahrain there, Portugal, Jordan. You get the idea. They're very nice buildings, and they're named after Dag Hammarskjöld, who actually was one of the founders of the United Nations. Now, you actually even have a few buildings which are commercial condominiums a bit south, which cater to missions and consulates. And let me explain why that would be appealing to a consulate. These consulates are going to be here forever. As long as the United Nations is here, as long as New York is here, you're going to have UN missions and you're going to have consulates from most countries in New York City. And being that they need a presence in New York permanently, it makes more sense in this particular case to purchase a property. And it makes more sense than it would for, say, a business, because businesses can be short-lived. They can last a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. They're not going to be in New York City for several hundred years. And more importantly, businesses can expand rapidly, they can contract, and it's very difficult for them to understand what their space needs are. Whereas a non-governmental organization, a consulate, or a mission, they know pretty much how much space they're going to need in advance. So the types of buildings that are condominiums in New York and have a fair number of diplomatic tenants are 820 2nd Avenue, which is known as the Diplomat Center building. That's 223,000 square feet. It's got 18 stories. And 805 2nd Avenue is also a condo. But those condominiums, they also have opportunities to lease, because you have, in some cases, investors who purchase there and they rent out the space, or you may have an NGO, a consulate there which has too much space, and then they'll lease out those particular spaces. Also, these tenants tend to own a fair amount of space on the Upper East Side, 66th Street, 5th Avenue. There's a whole slew of missions in this area. Actually, I have a little video clip I was walking by of India's mission to the UN, which is a rather beautiful building. Also took a short video clip of the former Yugoslavia's mission to the UN, located on 5th Avenue between 66th and 67th Street. And that building is empty now. There was actually a fire there a few years ago, and it has been occupied, I think, for more than 20 years because Yugoslavia broke up in the early 90s. And I know the building was for sale a few years ago, I believe first for $50 million. They dropped the price to $37 million, and whether it ever sold, I frankly don't know. In any event, if you have any questions, please tweet them to me. My Twitter handle is at Metro Manhattan, and of course, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until the next time, take care now.